Who is going to translate? Yeah? It is verily through the touch of ignorance
Es rara vez por el toque de la ignorancia
that thou who are the Supreme Self
que eso que es el Ser Supremo
finds thyself under the bondage of the non-self.
se haya unido o atado a eso que no es.
He basically points, it is only because of, he says, the touch of ignorance.
Solo por el toque de la ignorancia.
When ignorance touches,
Cuando la ignorancia toca,
and ignorance is forgetfulness.
ignorancia es olvido.
So the moment you forget who you are,
El momento que olvidas quién eres,
the moment there is a darkness, something covers who you are,
el momento que hay una oscuridad que cubre lo que eres,
that's ignorance.
eso es ignorancia.
Through the touch of ignorance,
A través del toque de la ignorancia,
although you are the Supreme Self,
aunque tú eres el Ser Supremo,
you find thyself under the bondage of the non-self.
te hayas unido o atado a lo que no eres.
Everyone's nature is this Supreme Self.
La naturaleza de todos es el Ser Supremo.
The moment there is a forgetfulness,
El momento que hay un olvido,
you mistake yourself to be the mind which thinks.
te confundes y piensas que eres la mente que piensa.
That's where you mistake who you are
Ahí es donde confundes quién eres
with what you're not.
con lo que no eres.
And what you're not is the thoughts,
Y lo que no eres
The
es
feelings.
los pensamientos, los sentimientos,
sensations,
las sensaciones,
senses,
los sentidos,
objects.
objetos.
When you mistake
Cuando te confundes,
the non-self
cuando equivocas lo que no eres
to be yourself,
con lo que eres, cuando equivocas lo que no eres con lo que eres,
what precedes is the round of birth and death.
lo que precede es la carrera de nacimiento y muerte,
Which is basically habits.
que son básicamente hábitos.
It's where the mind says, it's the same habit, I'm tired of being emotional.
Es cuando la mente dice, es lo mismo, estoy cansada de ser
This is
emocional.
birth and death, again and again and again.
Nacimiento y muerte, otra vez, otra vez, otra vez.
The fire of knowledge,
El fuego del conocimiento,
kindled by the discrimination,
Cuando
kindled,
surge, cuando empieza a surgir la llama, o sea,
surge cuando se hace la discriminación,
between these two.
the discrimination between these two.
Yeah.
La discriminación entre estos dos.
The self
La persona,
and no, the self, the who you truly are,
quién eres tú realmente
and the non-self.
y quién no eres.
Yeah? Between changeless awareness and thoughts.
Entre conciencia que no cambia y pensamientos.
The fire of knowledge,
El fuego del conocimiento,
kindled by discrimination between these two,
avivado por la discriminación de estos dos,
burns up the effects of ignorance together
quema los efectos de la ignorancia juntos
with their root.
desde la raíz.
Again, it is pointing that through discrimination,
Otra vez está apuntando que mediante la
due
discriminación,
to knowledge, due to knowledge,
y al conocimiento,
because the knowledge
debido al conocimiento,
reminds the mind
porque el conocimiento recuerda la mente
and awakens the discrimination.
y despierta la discriminación.
And the discrimination
Y la discriminación
basically burn the effect of the ignorance,
básicamente quema los efectos de la ignorancia,
means forgetting that I am who I am,
que es olvidar quién soy yo,
and it burns together with the root.
y lo quema junto con la raíz.
And what is the root of ignorance?
¿Y cuál es la raíz de la ignorancia?
Which thought is the root of ignorance?
Desire.
I.
¿Cuál
I.
es la raíz de la ignorancia? Yo.
This is the root.
Esta es la raíz. El pensamiento yo.
All what you read, I think that I see the biggest begging of problem we have if we don't see the I thought as a thought. So we don't discriminate it, we don't see it.
Él está diciendo que si no vemos el yo pensamiento como pensamiento, no lo podemos discriminar.
Right. Because the I
Porque el yo pensamiento
is just a thought.
es solo un pensamiento.
It's not an object
No es un objeto
and it's not the source.
y no es la fuente.
And the I thought is just like any other thought.
Y el yo pensamiento es como cualquier otro pensamiento.
Yet, in order to discriminate that, we separate it from all the rest of the thoughts.
Pero para poder discriminarlo, lo separamos de todos los demás pensamientos.
Because it is the first one to arise,
Porque es el primero en levantarse
and it is the last one to subside.
y el último en sobrevivir.
It is the link between the source, the body, and the world.
Es el link, la unión entre el cuerpo, la fuente y el mundo.
This is why when you stay with the question, who am I without this thought,
Por eso cuando se mantienen con la pregunta ¿quién soy yo sin este pensamiento?
and even you realize that I'm not this thought,
Y te das cuenta que no soy este pensamiento,
at a certain point the question will arise that who am I?
la pregunta, vuelve a surgir la misma pregunta ¿quién soy yo?
That would leave you as the experience of who you are.
Que te llevará a la respuesta de la experiencia de quién eres tú realmente.
You can also run in your mind
Tú también puedes correr en tu mente
different ideas.
diferentes ideas.
I am this body.
Soy este cuerpo.
Then you ask, who am I? Am I this thought?
Después preguntas ¿quién soy? ¿Este pensamiento?
If you realize that you're not this thought, I'm not this,
Si tú te das cuenta que no eres este pensamiento,
then you can ask, who am I?
entonces puedes preguntar ¿quién
And
soy
you
yo?
don't give an answer to this
Y ni
question.
siquiera respondes a esta pregunta.
Or you can approach it differently.
O pueden abordarlo diferente.
You think, I am very good at what I do.
Pensar, soy muy bueno en lo que hago.
Then you ask, who is that I that think this thought?
Entonces preguntas, ¿quién es este yo que está haciendo esta pregunta?
Who am I can be approached in different ways.
¿Quién soy yo? Puede ser abordado en diferentes
An
maneras.
easier way is to ask, who is this I?
La manera más fácil es preguntar, ¿quién es este yo?
For example, would be, I am progressing.
Un ejemplo sería, yo soy progresivo.
Who is this I?
¿Quién es este yo?
Who is this I that think this thought?
¿Quién es este yo que piensa este pensamiento?
Am I thinking ever?
¿Yo estoy pensando alguna vez?
Am I moving?
¿Me estoy moviendo?
Am I changing?
¿Estoy cambiando?
These questions reveal this is not who I am. I'm not this.
Estas preguntas revelan quién no soy yo.
Because
No
you
soy esto.
you question.
Porque preguntas,
As you question the mind,
y cuando cuestionas la mente,
because it's a phantom,
como es un fantasma,
it disappears.
desaparece.
If you don't question the mind,
Si no cuestionas tu mente,
although it's a phantom,
aunque es un fantasma,
it appears to be real,
aparece ser real,
as an appearance only.
como una apariencia.
I'm tired.
Estoy cansado.
Who is this I?
¿Quién es este yo?
Am I a thought?
¿Soy un pensamiento?
Who am I without a thought?
¿Quién soy yo sin el pensamiento?
I just give examples of different ways.
Solo di diferentes ejemplos.
When you start examining this I,
Cuando comienzan a examinar este yo pensamiento,
it's by far more interesting than anything else.
es más interesante que cualquier otra cosa.
And it's not a linear examination.
Y no es una examinación lineal.
And you find a way to examine that I.
Y encuentras una manera de examinarlo.
Instead of doing repetitive the same question.
En vez de hacer siempre repetidamente la misma pregunta.
I don't understand.
Yo no entiendo.
And you ask,
Y preguntas,
who is this
¿quién es este
that doesn't understand?
que no entiende?
Well, I'm going against your same point, sorry. When we ask who doesn't understand, we don't see that what we are looking for is the one who asking who doesn't understand. So when we don't observe the one who's asking, the one who's discriminating.
Entonces él dice que cuando te das cuenta de la persona que está haciendo esa pregunta, la tienes que discriminar, ¿no?
No, porque en vez de no discriminar la pregunta, ¿quién fue? ¿Quién fue?
Discriminas al que está haciendo la pregunta.
You just do discrimination, somebody did. Why you observe that one which is here?
Why don't we observe?
Sí, ¿por qué no observas el que acaba de discriminar?
¿Por qué no observas al que está discriminando?
It's a good question. That's why he said it's through the touch of ignorance.
Por eso es una buena pregunta, por eso dice a través del toque de la ignorancia.
If you say I'm hungry,
Si tú dices tengo hambre,
right away, even if you observe it,
luego, aunque lo observes,
and you're aware, you say I'm hungry.
y te das cuenta y dices tengo hambre,
Still, it is apparently too solidified.
pero es aparentemente demasiado sólido.
Yet, if you question who is this I that thinks it is hungry,
Pero si preguntas quién es este yo que
the
dice que tiene hambre,
solidity loses itself.
la solidez se disuelve a sí misma.
Then you start to see, is this I ever eat?
Entonces comienzas a ver si este yo realmente come.
Is this I only a thought?
¿Es este yo solo un pensamiento?
Am I a thought?
¿Soy un pensamiento?
That's it. You lose the solidity, the subjectivity, and you remain.
Pierdes la solidez, la subjetividad y permaneces.
This is how the mind withdraw itself back into the source.
Así es como la mente se retrae de nuevo a la fuente.
It's a movement of the mind dissolving.
Es
It
un
has to
movimiento.
sink there.
Se tiene que hundir ahí.
Observing only doesn't sink the mind.
Observar solo no hace que la mente se suba.
Even if you directly experience who you are,
Solo si experimentas realmente quién eres,
you notice when a thought appears
notas cuando un pensamiento aparece
and it has a name and a form.
y tiene un nombre y forma.
Out of habit, the mind fixes its attention and starts to wandering.
Por hábito la mente fija su atención y empieza a
While
divagar
experiencing the stillness,
mientras experimenta la quietud.
unless you bring the mind to withdraw back,
A menos de que traigas la mente de regreso,
it's just a matter of the power of illusion. It will pull you into a dream, pull the mind into a dream.
una cuestión del poder de la ilusión y tu mente saldrá.
Observing is not enough.
Observar no es suficiente.
This is why he's pointing through
Por eso es que él está
the
señalando
fire of knowledge
sobre a través del fuego del conocimiento.
Kindled by discrimination. Kindled, I
To
think
start
it's,
the fire.
yeah, it's like fire
To
that
start
is
the fire.
by discrimination.
Encender.
Encender el fuego por la discriminación.
So, if the false entity, I need to move to the silence and submersion. Like,
Could you repeat that?
It's the last.
yeah, but still that false entity, if they want to move there,
Yeah.
Still that false entity?
la falsa identidad que creemos que somos la que finalmente se tiene que mover hacia ahí, hacia el silencio.
The I thought has to be absorbed.
El yo pensamiento tiene que ser absorbido.
Ramana makes it very clear.
Ramana lo hace muy claro.
This I has to be fully be burnt.
Este yo tiene que ser completamente
That
quemado
it doesn't even come up ever again.
para que no vuelva a surgir nunca más.
And he discriminates between two types of samadhi.
Y discrimina entre dos tipos de samadhi.
One samadhi, he calls it the bucket,
Un samadhi lo llama la cubeta,
is in the well, yet it's still attached with a rope.
la cubeta está en el pozo, pero está unida a una cuerda.
The moment you pull the rope, the bucket is out again.
En el momento que tiras de la cuerda, la cubeta surge otra vez.
This is not enough.
Esto no es suficiente.
The rope has to be burnt.
La cuerda tiene que ser quemada.
That the moment you pull the bucket,
En el momento que jalas la cubeta,
poof, the rope is detached. That's it. It never comes out ever again.
la cuerda se desprende y nunca más vuelve a...
And this is what the mind has to return and abide in the stillness.
Por eso la mente tiene que regresar y
Abiding as that means there is no observing anything.
abiding is like being,
Remaining.
Living, remaining, being.
que mantenerse tiene que ser
Is no observing.
no es
There's
observar.
nothing to observe. This is why the sages point to continue, discriminate, and concentrate and inquire.
Por eso los sabios apuntan mucho a siempre estar discriminando
With the false entity,
con la falsa identidad,
that it return. With the recognition that you are not even the returning in the false entity.
el reconocimiento de que ni siquiera eres esa falsa identidad que está
The
regresando.
moment you experience the presence,
En el momento que experimentas la presencia,
the whole undoing itself is in presence.
el simple hecho de deshacerse a sí misma está en la presencia.
Yet the mind cannot get attached and get lost in a dream. It has no power. You bring it back. You bring it back.
Pero la mente no puede quedarse en un sueño, tienes que regresarla.
And the way you bring it back
La forma de regresarla
is you question that I.
es cuestionar ese
When
yo.
you question that I because it's a phantom,
Cuando cuestionas ese yo porque es un fantasma,
it disappears.
desaparece.
If you don't question the I,
Si no cuestionas el yo,
it for some reason make the impossible possible.
por alguna razón hace lo imposible posible.
It is just out of habit create name and form,
Es solo por hábito crear nombre y forma,
and then it's from that name and form
y de ese nombre y forma
it can create infinite names and form in the mind.
puede
Images.
crear infinidad de nombres y formas en la mente. Infinidad.
You told Diego that you have to discriminate and observing is not enough.
Le dijiste a Diego que tienes que discriminar y observar lo que no eres.
No, observar no es suficiente.
Lo suficiente.
No es suficiente.
No es suficiente.
So the question is, the discrimination have to be in the form of a question, or because I see, I shift the attention and it stops it's withdrawing. So the question is the shifting of the attention can reach the I thought, or you have to ask questions?
La pregunta es si discriminar puede ser una pregunta o está preguntando si discriminar es una pregunta. That's what she asked first, and then you asked two questions, right? First, if discrimination should be
The
a
question is if to discriminate I have to ask a question or I can shift the attention.
Okay. Está preguntando si para discriminar tiene que hacer la pregunta o solo puede mover la atención. Solo tiene que mover la atención.
See, the power of illusion is such
Si es mucho el poder de... es tal el poder de la ilusión.
let's say the answer would be just shift the attention
La respuesta solo sería cambia la atención
to that which never moves.
a eso que nunca se mueve.
The mind will withdraw momentarily,
La mente se retira momentáneamente,
come out,
va afuera
pull itself into a
y
dream.
vuelve a entrar otra vez al sueño.
Now, you not even notice that you're in a dream.
Ahora ni siquiera notas que estás en un sueño.
Now you have to discriminate, to check the dream.
Ahora tienes que discriminar para checar
Check
el
if
sueño.
the dream is you.
Checa si el sueño eres tú.
Who is the one who's dreaming?
¿Quién es el que está soñando?
Are you the dreamer itself?
¿Tú eres el soñador?
Is the dream is real?
¿El sueño es real?
Who are you without this dream?
¿Quién eres tú sin este sueño?
There is no one fixed way.
No hay
And I
una
see they're
manera.
both coming. It's both.
Because the power, the mind doesn't comprehend
La mente no entiende
what is it up against, or what is it up against
qué es.
of.
La mente no entiende qué es en lo que está en contra.
I didn't
Big
No,
know.
aquí se está
co-
enfrentando.
Yeah, because it is conditioned to objects.
Por su condición a los objetos.
And we are talking about here a phantom,
Estamos hablando de un fantasma,
illusion,
ilusión,
a magic.
magia.
It plays so many tricks.
Hace tantos trucos.
Means it has to be approached in so many different ways, which is every time for the first time.
Tiene que ser abordado en tantas maneras diferentes que cada vez siempre es la primera vez.
It means not the same approach would work every single time.
No siempre el mismo enfoque funcionará todas las veces.
Because the habit of the mind, if it is familiar with something,
Porque el hábito de la mente es que si está familiarizado con algo,
it tends to be dull.
resulta aburrido.
Yeah, if you do the same repetitive motion,
Si haces el mismo movimiento repetido,
the motion can continue and the mind now can wander.
el movimiento continúa y la mente ahora puede
The
divagar.
same happens when you examine the thoughts.
Lo mismo pasa cuando examina los
Then
pensamientos.
people say, I examine and I have so many other thoughts as well.
La gente dice examina, pero si tengo muchos pensamientos.
It's
también.
just the mind wander all over the place. They don't really anymore examine.
Es solo que su mente está divagando, ya no están examinando.
They don't see the subtlety anymore.
Ya no ven la sutileza.
Everyone experiences it when they start to examine.
Todo el mundo experimenta cuando empiezan a examinar.
This is why you go and check what is the experience each one has.
Por eso cada quien cheque cuál es la experiencia que cada quien tiene.
Let's say you say observing is enough.
Digamos que observar es suficiente.
Stick with observing and see what happens.
Mantente observando y ve qué pasa.
Watch it for some time.
Obsérvalo un tiempo.
See if you're not identifying with the thoughts.
Ve si no te estás
Although you
identificando
observe the thoughts,
con los pensamientos y aunque los
look,
observes,
most of the people
la mayoría de la gente
driving and
maneja
have thoughts and they observe their thoughts about what they have to do
y tienen pensamientos, observan los pensamientos de lo
and they
que tienen que hacer.
observe things that happened today or the day before.
Y observan las cosas que le han pasado ayer o hoy.
They observe the thoughts,
Observan los pensamientos,
except
Thoughts are
what?
there. And the thoughts are there.
pero no están ahí.
And you believe in them.
Yet I am believing the thoughts to be real. Is observing is enough?
No.
And how many times you observe the thoughts and you feel so restless because of the thoughts?
¿Y cuántas veces les ha pasado que observan los pensamientos y se sienten muy cansados?
Restless.
O sea, inquietos.
Because of the thoughts. Yet if you question the thoughts
Pero porque cuestionan los pensamientos,
and they lose their substance
pierden la sustancia
and they truly are seen as not real,
y son vistos como no reales.
you can never be restless because of the unreal thought.
Nunca puedes estar inquieto por un pensamiento que no existe.
Not only that, the thought dissolve and disappear.
No solo eso, sino que el pensamiento se
Because the
disuelve,
thoughts are a phantom.
porque el pensamiento es un fantasma.
When you seek a phantom,
Cuando buscas un fantasma,
it disappears.
desaparece.
So you point on one point, don't steer a thought, and then when I shift the attention and not, or just say it's not real, then you say maybe I should go and ask and investigate, because sometimes it's happened also that I go and investigate and ask me questions.
Dice que por un lado estás diciendo que no hay que agitar el pensamiento, pero por otro, si tengo un pensamiento y lo empiezo a ver, lo empiezo a observar, lo empiezo a discriminar, eso no es como contradictorio, como agitarlo.
It's both.
Son ambos.
At times you fix the attention as that.
En momentos fijas la atención así,
In other times, discrimination has to be active.
y otros momentos la discriminación tiene que ser activa.
And shifting the attention without questioning is also can be useful as a tool.
Entonces cambiar la atención sin cuestionar también puede ser útil.
Yes.
Sí.
We're not talking one is better than another. This is the habit of the mind.
No estamos hablando de que uno es mejor que otro, eso es un hábito de la mente.
We are looking how we work with this illusion
Estamos viendo cómo trabajar con esta ilusión
and realizing that you're not the illusion.
y realizándote de que no eres la ilusión.
Let's say you're making a pot of clay.
Digamos que eres part of a play.
Lo que estás haciendo
pot.
una-
A pot of clay.
un vasito.
Estás haciendo un barro.
Now, the pot, when you make the pot, it behaves in a certain way.
Cuando estás haciéndolo, el jarrón se
It might be spinning and you
Porta de
touch it
alguna
and it
manera.
collapses.
y puede estar girando, lo agarras y se cae.
And other times you hold it in a certain way and then it just forms a pot.
Otras veces lo agarras de cierta manera y se forma una...
Working with the clay,
Trabajar con el barro.
does you ever mistake yourself to be the clay?
¿Alguna vez ha hecho que confundas ser el barro tú?
Work with the thoughts the same way.
Trabajen con los pensamientos de la misma manera.
Work with the thought without mistaking yourself to be the thinker.
Trabajen con los pensamientos sin equivocarse en ser el pensador.
Without mistaking yourself to be the mind, which
Sí.
thinks.
Equivocarse pensando que son la mente que piensa.
The mind is emotion, movement.
La mente es emoción, movimiento.
Let the movement work with itself
Dejen que el movimiento trabaje con él mismo,
without you mistaking that you are it. That's all.
sin que tú equivoques que tú eres ese movimiento, es todo.
If the mind doesn't like a particular way of working with itself,
Si a la mente no le gusta cierta manera de trabajar
it's
con ella
because
misma,
it's reacting to it.
Porque está reaccionando a ello.
Because it's not examined if this is real.
Porque no ha examinado si eso es real.
To itself,
Yeah.
the mind to the mind.
The mind is examining itself. Nobody else examines the mind.
La mente se está examinando a ella misma, nadie más examina.
Who you are doesn't examine anything.
But when you're questioning, you don't examine it?
Questioning is examining.
Exactly.
But
So,
who doesn't? Yourself.
But that's what I'm not understanding
What
then.
it does to the mind.
When the thought appears and you question,
Eso es lo que no estoy
what is this thought?
entendiendo.
Who is this thought? I entered to examine that. So I'm not.
No, you're not entering examining. The thought already appeared.
Yeah, yeah. But once you make the question, who is this thought? I go back to examining who is this thought.
And then what you come to see?
Confusion.
Do you come to see that it's not you? The thought is not you?
No, it's the mind reacting. But still I'm making the question. So there is someone there.
Who is? Did you find that one ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
What did you find? What did you find?
That the thought passed through.
What did you find?
Tranquility.
Then who? You find who?
Myself.
Not the thought.
True.
¿Quién hace eso?
okay.
You translate? We did it Spanish too?
Rapidísimo.
Perdón.
¿Qué dije?
Bueno.
Bueno, que le estaba diciendo que normalmente cuando decía que lo de quién es este pensamiento, yo le decía es que normalmente cuando veo el pensamiento pasar y pregunto quién es este pensamiento, estoy examinándolo. Y a la hora de examinarlo, normalmente empiezo a examinar que esa persona soy yo. Entonces el pensamiento sí pasa, pero ya estoy empezando a examinar a mi persona.
Inquiry into the self
Cuestionando el interior del ser.
is the most direct path.
Es el camino más directo.
It's the fastest path because it has no really path.
Es el más rápido porque ni siquiera hay un camino.
Because all that the mind is examined is that I.
Porque lo único que la mente está examinando es ese yo.
That way it doesn't let it wander and move a lot.
De esa manera no deja que divague y se siga moviendo más.
When you examine the I,
Cuando examinas el yo,
because it's a thought,
debido a que es un pensamiento,
when you examine a thought with another thought
cuando examinas un pensamiento con otro pensamiento
or with a question,
o con una pregunta,
the thought that was examined
el pensamiento que ha
disappeared.
sido examinado desaparece.
The question ends.
Y la pregunta acá,
You remain.
tú permaneces.
That's why you never find a real I except who you truly are.
Por eso nunca encuentras un yo, a excepción de quien tú realmente eres.
Nobody ever find an entity that is called an ego, ever.
Nadie nunca encontró esa entidad a que se le nadie.
No one. The only proof the mind says I exist as an ego
La única manera, la única prueba de que la mente dice que existe como ego
is I am a physical body.
es yo soy un cuerpo físico.
I am. And then I tie all these ideas around this object.
Y después silbando todas estas ideas alrededor del objeto. In the, it's maybe very graphic, but in the example about when you're doing the pot of clay, who is the one who's making the pot of clay? The I thought?
The pot of clay,
Yeah, this is the clay and the pot, and who is the one who's doing the thing?
the hands.
Yeah, but in the analogy, like you
The-
use the pot is the thought.
Right, hands and the pot are a little bit different. The clay, yes?
Uh-huh.
It's the higher mind who examines, is the hands. And the lower mind is the clay. It's the apparent ego.
Ah, okay.
But who's behind the hands? I.
Hmm?
Behind the.
You are.
No entendí.
Without any
Cuando
movement at
ella
all.
pregunta
That's
que
right.
en el ejemplo del barro, ¿quién es el barro y quién es las manos? de que la mente superior son las manos y la mente inferior es el barro.
So the
And then you
higher
ask, who
mind,
is behind all of it?
¿Y quién está detrás de todo eso?
It has no hands and no clay.
No tiene manos ni barro.
No higher mind, no lower mind. It's absolutely still.
It's like the example of the roof and the...
Yes. That's when I hear these questions,
Cuando escucho estas
it's
preguntas,
very good. It just signifies that there's not enough recognition of who you are.
se nota que no hay suficiente reconocimiento de quién realmente eres.
And there's still a confusion, a touch of ignorance
Y sigue habiendo confusión, el toque de la ignorancia
between who you are
entre lo que eres
and even the one who questions.
y el que pregunta.
Yeah? Questioner, question, thoughts, it's all mine.
El cuestionador, la pregunta y los pensamientos, todo es la mente.
That you're not the mind.
Tú no eres esa mente.
Even discriminate that would be very good of cleaning.
Hasta discriminar eso sería bueno para la limpieza.
The more I hear you talking, the more I realize maybe I've never experienced where I really am.
yeah.
So like I understand the words where it's going to say just a thought. I haven't experienced where I really am. But at the same time, I'm also not, I know already, because that I had experienced, that I'm not the objects of the world. So I'm in limbo. I'm just floating, lost in there in fear and desperation and frustration.
It's so absurd
Es tan absurdo
to think that you never experience who you are.
que pienses que nunca experimentas lo que
You
eres.
never not experience who you are.
Nunca experimentas
Yeah, reverse that. There's
no experimentas.
who you are is always who you are.
Lo que eres tú es siempre lo que tú eres.
You never something else than who you are.
Tú nunca eres algo que no eres.
You just mistake the mind to be you.
Solo confundes que la mente eres tú.
And from the mind, you imagine that you don't ever experience who you are.
Y de la mente experimentas que nunca has experimentado quién
Don't
eres.
look for the experience of who you are.
No busques la experiencia de quién eres.
See what you're not.
Ve lo que no eres.
Stick with the negation process.
Quédate con el proceso de negación.
The negation process leaves you as who you are.
El proceso de negación te lleva a quién eres.
Seeking who you are,
Buscar quién eres,
not by negation,
no por negación,
cause a lot of frustration in the mind.
causa mucha frustración en la mente.
Because the mind tries to gain that experience
Porque la mente trata de tener esa experiencia
instead of removing.
en vez de quitarla.
It's like we would say, let's try to experience the space in the room.
Como si te dijera que trates de experimentar el espacio en el cuarto.
Yet when the room is full
Cuando el cuarto está lleno
and I cannot enter this room,
y no puedo entrar al cuarto,
I say I cannot experience the space in the room.
y me dices no puedo experimentar el espacio del
Then
cuarto.
my job is now to take all the furniture out of the room.
Entonces mi trabajo es quitar todos los muebles del cuarto.
Then there is an experience of the space in the room.
Entonces hay una experiencia del espacio del cuarto.
With the thought is the same.
Con el pensamiento es igual.
Discriminate every thought.
Discrimina cada pensamiento.
Examine who is the one who is thinking.
Examina quién es el que está pensando.
Who is this I?
¿Quién es este yo?
And who am I without this thought?
¿Y quién soy yo sin este pensamiento?
Yes.
On the way of inquiring, asking who am I,
Cuando nosotros estamos investigando quiénes somos,
sometimes it's helpful
a veces ayuda
to say to whom this thought, to whom does this thought arrive? To whom does this thought appear?
Es bueno decir, ¿para quién está apareciendo este pensamiento?
Then answer, to me.
Y contéstate, para mí.
Then ask, who am I?
Entonces pregunta, ¿quién soy yo?
Because that me is I thought.
Porque ese yo es el yo pensamiento.
So ask, to whom this thought comes? The bunch of thought comes. To me. Then who am I? It helps to see more I thought as an object, because the feeling comes that the thought comes to me. Who is that? Who is that me? Who is that I? Who am I?
Entonces es bueno porque te llega a ti. O sea, tú cuestionas a quién le está llegando este sentimiento y te respondes, me llega a mí. Entonces sientes tú.
It's too much of a jump.
Es demasiado trabajo.
Jump.
Es un brinco muy alto.
It's from projection to veiling. A lot of time is too much.
Es de proyección al velo. Es a veces demasiado.
This is why when I feel it's to me,
Cuando siento que es para mí,
it's already objectified.
ya
Yes,
está.
but then you question something, because when you question who am I, and you absolutely, what is this I thought? It's the feeling that it comes to me. Who am I? To me it's the most easy one, not the difficult one.
Who am I is a question has to be asked when you only experience who you are.
¿Quién soy yo? Es una pregunta que solo debes hacerte cuando experimentas quién eres.
Who is this I is easier
¿Quién es este yo? Es más fácil.
because it's pointing on something that is other than you.
Porque está señalando algo que no eres tú.
That's still not the source.
You're not looking for the source.
No estás buscando la fuente.
You have to give up this notion that you're looking for the source.
Tienes que dejar esta noción de que estás buscando la fuente.
You are the source. You are what you're looking for.
Tú eres lo que estás buscando.
Look what you're not.
Busca lo que no eres.
This is the safest process of negation.
Esta es la forma más segura de la negación.
See what you are not.
Ve lo que no eres.
Means you believe that this is you,
Significa que tú crees que este eres tú
and you start to check if this is you.
y empiezas a checar si eres tú,
If this you is real.
si este tú eres real,
Is this you a thought?
si este tú es un pensamiento.
Are you only a thought?
Es solo un pensamiento.
Yeah. And when you don't have a thought, who are you?
Cuando no tienes un pensamiento, ¿quién eres?
Just check that. Not because you want to experience who you are.
Solo checa eso no porque quieras experimentar quién eres,
Just because you want to really see the truth.
solo porque quieres ver realmente la verdad.
Well, that I have experimented. When there's no thought, I know I'm there. I don't know who this I am, but I am.
Okay, stay with that. You have to see what you're not.
Tienes que buscar lo que no eres.
You have to see that what appears to be real is not real.
Tienes que ver que lo que parece ser real no es real.
And then just check if your experience is not real either.
Y después checa si tu experiencia no es real tampoco.
Even understand that the experience is real and the one who thinks is not real. You're discriminating.
Entiende que la experiencia es real y que lo que piensas de ella no es, lo discriminas.
Yes.
Pero es igual entonces, todos los pensamientos tienes que discriminarlos, todos.
So, you have to,
Cualquier pensamiento que te aparezca tienes que discriminar.
Yes.
Todo el día tienes que pasar que discriminar.
Every day you have to be discriminating. All day long you have to.
Every moment when a thought arises,
todo el momento que llegue un pensamiento,
discrimination, the thought has to be discriminated. Otherwise,
tu pensamiento tiene que ser discriminado, si no,
out of habit, the mind gets attached to it,
por hábito la mente se apega a eso,
and it is evolved, isn't it?
se va fácilmente.
Look at your experience, each one of you.
Vean sus
But
experiencias
then what's
cada
the
uno.
difference when you say about
It's
the well?
1 or 0.
Es 1 o 0.
Yeah, the mind doesn't like maybe if it's not ready to hear that.
La mente no está preparada para decir tal
You
vez.
experience who you are.
O experimentas quién eres,
You walk out
sales
and you say, I have to do something.
y dices, tengo que hacer algo.
You're already a separate entity. You think you're a doer.
Ya rápidamente eres una entidad separada.
You think you're doing
Crees
anything.
que estás haciendo algo.
You imagine it is real.
Imaginas que es real.
Finished. A moment ago you experienced who you are.
Hace un momento experimentaste.
The
quién
next
eras.
moment, how is it? Through the touch of ignorance.
Al momento siguiente, por el toque de la ignorancia.
And that's it.
Y ya se acabó.
You forget who you are.
Olvidas quién eres.
You mistake what you're not to be who you are.
Confundes lo que no eres con lo que eres.
And now the whole phenomena universe manifests in an instant.
Y todo el universo se manifiesta en un instante.
If it's not discriminated,
Si no es discriminado,
how is it going to come to an end?
¿cómo va a llegar a un fin?
It won't.
No va a llegar.
It won't. Yes.
Pongamos un ejemplo burdo.
Hmm?
Let's say a very low example. Burdo.
Cross.
Cross.
Crass.
I'm hungry. Es a thought.
Tengo hambre, es un pensamiento.
Lo veo,
I see.
pero la sensación de hambre persiste.
That sensation persists.
Good. I'm hungry.
Bien,
It's
tengo
a
hambre.
thought.
Es un pensamiento.
Is it true?
¿Es real?
¿No?
So it's not a true thought. Then you might go and eat.
Entonces no es un pensamiento real.
Then you're not identifying with the idea of I'm hungry.
Entonces vas y comes y no te estás identificando con la idea de tengo hambre.
Because the moment you ask, I'm hungry,
El momento que dices tengo hambre,
and is it true?
preguntas.
And you see
¿cierto?
that you never move,
Te das cuenta que nunca te has movido,
that you don't even have this thought.
que ni siquiera tienes este pensamiento.
Body is food, feed it.
El cuerpo es alimento, aliméntalo,
Without the mistake that you are this body.
sin la confusión de que tú eres este cuerpo.
The same can be I'm hungry.
Lo mismo puede ser tengo hambre,
Is it true?
¿es verdad?
No, the one who thinks never eat.
No, el que piensa nunca come.
The body is food. Give it food, otherwise it dies without it.
El cuerpo es comida, dáselo, si no se muere sin ella.
You don't mistake a dog
No confundes un perro,
to be you.
ser tú.
So if the dog is hungry, give it some food.
Así que si el perro tiene hambre,
With the
dale
clarity
comida.
that you are not the dog.
Con la claridad de que tú no eres ese perro.
That's all.
Eso es todo.
It cuts the identification.
Corta la identificación.
The actions can continue.
Las acciones no continúan.
Yet if I think I'm hungry and I don't examine it,
Pero si pienso que tengo hambre y no lo examino,
out of habit I believe I am a physical body.
por hábitos pienso que soy un cuerpo físico.
This is what it's 1 or 0.
Esto es cuando es 1-0.
Then there would be maybe there's a bodily sensation and the mind recognizes its hunger,
Puede haber que haya una sensación física y la mente reconozca,
and there won't be the thought even I'm hungry.
pero ni siquiera va a haber pensamiento tengo hambre.
And then you would just give food to the body.
Entonces solo le darías alimento al cuerpo.
Ahora nos vamos, cuando estamos en quietud,
Now, when we're in stillness,
¿sí? Tengo sueño,
I'm sleepy.
que es un pensamiento.
That's a thought.
Dejo que el cuerpo se duerma.
I let the body sleeps.
Okay,
This is the body.
yes.
This is the thought. So,
When sitting,
yeah.
the body is sleeping or the mind?
The body.
How do you know?
I saw
The mind, ¿no?
Hmm?
The mind.
Yes, it's the mind was sleeping. Okay. This is how fast the power of illusion is.
Eso es como qué tan rápido es el poder de la ilusión.
What brought light for you to see?
Qué te trajo la luz para ver?
Observar.
It was the question.
La pregunta.
I asked the question.
Yo hice la pregunta.
When you ask, you put the question, boom, light.
Tú preguntas, hay luz.
All day.
Todo el día.
Every moment, as long as there's thought, have to discriminate them.
Todo el tiempo que haya pensamientos tienes que discriminarlos.
The more they are caught where they arise,
Cuando los sorprendes mientras salen,
and you inquire, they sink back in.
entonces los buscas que hundirlos nuevamente.
The more the I thought sinks in,
Mientras más el yo pensamiento se hunde,
the more you remain as presence awareness.
más te mantienes como presencia.
Then don't steer thought.
No revuelvas el pensamiento.
Don't ask anything.
No preguntes nada.
Only when the thought appears.
Solo cuando el pensamiento ocurre.
You didn't think that it will appear.
No pensaste que
It
iba a
just
ocurrir.
appears.
Solo pasa.
Now has to be met with either discrimination or inquiry.
Ahora tienes que encontrarlo con la discriminación o la búsqueda, la investigación.
Por eso, diferentes formas de cuestionar, ¿sí? Para que no se vuelva tan repetitivo y un hábito.
So, different forms of inquiry.
This is why there's different variations of questioning. That the mind doesn't ask repetitively as mechanical questioning.
No debemos preguntarnos como mecánicamente las preguntas.
Because if it's mechanical without seeing an experience,
Porque si es mecánico sin ver la experiencia,
the mind overlooks, it continues.
la mente sobrevé, lo continúa,
Means there's not enough presence.
si no hay suficiente presencia.
Because sometimes the mind have a thought,
Porque algunas veces la mente tiene un pensamiento,
I need to do something,
tengo que hacer algo.
and it doesn't stop, and there is no recognition that it's just a thought.
Y no hay una pausa, no reconoces que es un pensamiento.
Then although it's just a thought,
Aunque sea un pensamiento,
I believe that there is an I that really needs to do something.
yo creo que realmente hay una persona que debe hacer algo.
That's why stopping is really essential.
Por eso parar es esencial.
Stopping means questioning is stopping the mind.
Cuestionarte es parar la mente.
One can be body moving and stop the mind many times as it appears.
Uno puede estar moviendo el cuerpo, pero parar la mente cada vez que necesite.
Especially if the movement are mechanical and you don't need, the attention doesn't have to go there.
Sobre todo si el movimiento es mecánico y la mente no tiene que prestar atención a eso.
Questioning is very powerful,
Cuestionarte es muy poderoso,
yet it's not the question that is powerful.
pero no es la pregunta lo poderoso.
Is due to questioning the mind stop.
Es que debido a la pregunta la mente para.
Due to questioning there is more light coming in and it is seen.
Debido a la pregunta hay más luz entrando y hay más que ver.
It removes the ignorance,
Remueve la ignorancia.
and that's where lies the real power,
Y ahí
which is you.
está el verdadero poder que eres tú.
En cuanto estás experimentando la presencia, pues no hay forma de estarte cuestionando tampoco.
As you experience yourself, there is no way to question.
Yeah. Don't even bother.
Ni siquiera te molestes.
Yeah. Because that's you creating, the mind creating a movement now within the stillness.
Que es la mente creando movimiento dentro de la quietud.
Question. During the daytime, the mind is thinking and the body is doing things.
Durante el día la mente está pensando y el cuerpo está haciendo cosas.
And I have a feeling that the mind is doing whatever it does. Very often, I don't mind the mind.
Tengo la sensación de que la mente a veces hace lo que quiere y no me importa.
Is it also okay, or I have to do the to undo every thought?
¿Está también bien o tengo que deshacer
Gosh,
y cuestionar?
because this not mind the mind is very helpful.
Porque que no me importe la mente me ayuda mucho.
Then where is the attention?
On the self,
Entonces, ¿dónde está la atención?
but not as present as, but at least it doesn't run with thoughts, because I feel it's just the mind, it's just mind.
No, es solo está en mi
Attention is not
presente.
as strong in my own conscious presence, but the running of the mind doesn't happen after the thoughts.
Mi atención no está en mi experiencia de mí misma, pero tampoco se va con los pensamientos.
So how do you know you have thoughts, or the mind is moving?
Entonces, ¿cómo sabes que tienes pensamientos o que tu mente está moviéndose?
Because conscious presence is not manifesting completely, obviously.
Porque la conciencia completa no está.
Then where is the attention?
Entonces, ¿dónde está la atención?
Of course on the thoughts, or on the idea that I don't mind the thoughts.
Entonces,
So
está
it
en
has to
los
go deeper.
pensamientos.
Okay,
It's still identification there.
okay, definitely.
It's a trick of the mind.
I see that.
It's a trick of the mind.
Helpful, but a trick.
Es un truco de la mente.
It's not helpful. Why? Because if I'm bleeding and I'm just putting a patch,
No ayuda porque si estoy sangrando y solo pongo un parche
and it seems it's healing.
y parece que está sanando.
No, it's not. I'm just covering it.
No está sanando, solo lo estoy cubriendo.
The mind continues to dream unless you discriminate it.
La mente continúa soñando a menos que discrimines.
You have to get it back.
Tienes que regresarla.
I get it back when it's something strong. Then I say, oh, and then, but it is just gibberish. Then this doesn't happen that much.
Here, that answers your question.
Yeah. When I talk and you answer, I got the idea that both of them should be as important to return to the self. The end gibberish and the important things.
Somebody wanted to ask something? Or?
Just one thing. When you said about the welt, that you burned the rope and that it doesn't get attached to it anymore, don't you always have to be discriminating?
Cuando dices que en el pozo la cubeta y la cuerda no deben estar nunca más unidas, no tienes que estar.
Until it is burned.
That means that there's a moment in which after discriminating every thought and every thought and every thought and every thought and every thought, there's just going to be a moment of disconnection with the discrimination even.
Entonces,
Entonces, después de discriminar, va a haber un momento en el que también vas a discriminar eso.
No vas a dejar, vas a
dejar de discriminar.
Vas a dejar
del
de.
proceso de discriminación.
maybe I mentioned yesterday, you take a thorn,
Tal vez mencionó ayer que
pull out the thorn,
tienes una
Astilla.
una astilla, agarras otra astilla
and you throw both of them up.
y tiras las dos.
Or when you use the stick in the fire.
O cuando usas el palo en el fuego.
And then when the fire, there's no more wood, still coil. You don't need to use any more this. You just put it there and it is burned by itself.
Cuando estás usando el palo para la fogata y ya no lo usas, lo dejas ahí y se quema.
Se vuelve automático.
It's by itself happens.
Yeah.
Discrimination
La discriminación
or inquiry,
o examinación,
the mind cannot identify itself as an individual entity.
la mente no se puede
Because you're
identificar.
questioning it.
But I have a,
It's like, how would you identify,
¿Cómo puedes identificar tú?
I'm not this thought?
No soy este pensamiento.
Now try.
Ahora, intenta.
Who are you?
¿Quién eres?
You answer just one thought. Who are you? I'm not this thought.
Not this thought.
When were you born?
I'm not this thought.
Are you a man?
I'm not this thought.
Are you busy?
I'm not this thought.
You have a job?
I'm not this thought.
You stay with that. How would you identify yourself to be with that thought, I'm not this thought? There is no way. It removes all the false identification and it disappears. There wouldn't be a reason for the mind to think, I'm not this thought, I'm not this thought, I'm not this thought, I'm not. It won't.
but it just disappears until this following thought appears. That is a never. When you use never, that's the context between one thought and the next thought.
In the beginning. Translate.
Que con ese que entonces desaparece. Entonces desaparece solamente en ese momentito hasta que surge el otro pensamiento. Ese es el contexto nunca que él utiliza entre un pensamiento y el otro, o para siempre, siempre. Dice que al principio nada más es entre pensamiento y pensamiento.
Because the mind is looking for an end,
Porque la mente está buscando un final.
it imagines how it looks the end.
Imagina cómo se ve el final.
Leave that alone.
Deja eso.
Just
en paz
keep discriminating
y continúa discriminando.
without wanting anything to gain.
Sin querer ganar algo.
It leaves you as you anyhow.
Te deja como eres, de todas maneras.
So it's all, how do you call that in English? Desapego.
Detachment.
It's just detachment.
Discrimination is the cause of detachment and not vice versa.
La discriminación es la causa del desapego y no lo contrario.
My question is, so I know that this illumination is not something you gain, but when you experience that, then you don't have this body, right? Is death. Well, as we concept, no death, but is it possible to experience that and have the body still, or no?
Who you truly are has nothing to do with the body.
Quien yo soy no tiene nada que ver con el cuerpo.
Therefore, you can directly experience who you are through a body.
Entonces puedes experimentar realmente lo que eres a través del cuerpo,
Without the idea or the belief that you are a physical body.
sin el pensamiento o la idea de que yo soy el cuerpo.
The mind believes it is an object
La mente cree que es un cuerpo, es un objeto,
and it wants to experience an experience out of this object.
y quiere una experiencia fuera de este objeto.
And it's so absurd because it imagines the object itself.
Y es muy absurdo porque se imagina el objeto.
The mind projects the body.
La mente proyecta el cuerpo.
Therefore, it just imagines the whole thing.
Entonces, imagina todo.
The body is inside the movie.
The body
El cuerpo
is in the mind.
está en la mente.
Yet, for some reason, the mind believes that it is in the body.
Pero por alguna razón la mente cree que está dentro del cuerpo.
Because it identifies itself as a body.
Porque se identifica con un cuerpo.
This another example. He says the
Es-
the patient who takes the proper diet and medicine
Otro ejemplo dice que el paciente que toma la dieta correcta y la medicina correcta
is alone seen to recover completely.
Salón sin.
Is alone
Ah,
seen to recover completely.
es
Es un pecado solitario el poder llegar a recuperación.
No entiendo.
Es como si Alon es como ya, o sea, realmente es una tarea sin...
ya entendí. Pues si un paciente toma la dieta correcta y las medicinas que debe, sería un pecado pensar que se está curando solo,
Yeah? Not through the work done by others.
no por el trabajo de los demás.
It is pointing that if there is a disease,
Está señalando que si hay una enfermedad
and the power of illusion is a disease,
y el poder de la ilusión es una enfermedad,
in order to recover from this disease,
para recuperarte de esta enfermedad,
one has to take medicine.
uno debe tomar medicina.
When there is a disease and you take the proper medicine,
Cuando hay una enfermedad y tomas la medicina correcta,
two things happen.
dos cosas pasan.
The disease and